Introducing Instagram Teen Accounts, a new way to keep your teens safer as they grow, like making sure they've got the right gear for riding.
Knee pads.
Check.
And helmet?
Done. See you, Dad.
New Instagram Teen Accounts, automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Fratelloni.
101.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1178, October 25th, 2023, the anniversary. BC 5 and 2. What's 1992 from 2023?
21 years. 31 years.
31.
I had a hole in one on this day.
Oh.
Wow.
Did that cost you any money?
It almost did, yeah. 82 degrees on this day in 1989.
The only guy on the planet that lied about a hole in one, so he didn't have to buy the par.
That was my second shot.
That was a par
did not
three.
lie about it. The insurance ran out, and I damn near broke my leg running to say stop. Now, it was 82 degrees on this day in 1989. That was a number of days in a row now for 1989. I wonder if the goofy weather people on TV went crazy and said that's never happened before. Yeah. And 12 degrees, chilly day, in 1887.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
John Haidt is back. John, you would have enjoyed talking with Mary Gabriel, who has written a book called Madonna, A Rebel Life.
Yes.
She mentioned many musicians, including Nile Rodgers, who apparently joined Madonna at some point in her career, if not still with her.
Material Girl, right? Isn't that what he said?
Is he still with her? I don't know.
I don't think so.
But you're a big Nile Rodgers fan.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It was very interesting, and
I will listen at some point. I have not had a chance to yet.
Speaking of the town council,
yes,
we have a big announcement to make on the show that we kind of mentioned in passing towards the end of the program yesterday.
Well, we also mentioned at the beginning. Oh, no, we didn't.
We only mentioned that
interview.
to the town council.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Go ahead. What?
All right, I'll go grab my piece of paper.
Oh, I have it. I have it.
Oh.
I have it.
Got her.
On November 15th, that's a Wednesday, we will be at Tattersall for a town council meeting. That's for town council members, but you can easily still become a town council member.
In fact, you should do it today.
And what this episode is going to be is an actual town council meeting. Various members of the audience will be given questions. I will be the mayor. I'm going to have my gavel. And the rest of you knuckleheads will be the council. You know, you're on the council representing various districts in Garage Logic. And we'll have an actual council meeting. That's it.
Sounds like I'll be able to have a whole bunch of wobble pops before the event. Participation.
100%.
What's a wobble pop?
You'll find out.
Well, that and plus, you get a discount on spirits in the shop there. So wouldn't that be great to load up for the holidays?
That's right. So Wednesday, November 15th, 5 to 7 p.m., join the GL crew and fellow town council members starting at 5 for a social hour with appetizers and whatnot. And the podcast will start at 6. This event is only open to town council members, and you must RSVP at garagelogic.com for a spot. If you're not a member yet, not a problem. Just sign up right now and reserve your spot. And as Joe mentioned, we will have an official town council meeting.
Isn't it true that there's no charge for this?
Right, but you have to RSVP.
Plus, you have to be a council member.
And you have to be a town council member. So if you email and say, well, I would like to go, this is the bit. You got to sign up for the town council. And then if you are a member of the town council, you can RSVP for your ticket.
I understand now.
I've got an even better idea. How about if you put up a monitor in a chair up there on stage?
Robo Kenny.
And
we'll have that mouth that kind of moves a little bit. Where the
I'll
mouth
be
is.
here. Yeah.
A drought in South America has revealed long hidden ancient carvings of human faces. Water levels of the Amazon River have dropped amid unusually sparse rainfall in Brazil, uncovering ancient art normally hidden by the shoreline. Among the rocks revealed by the drought are carvings of human faces dating from thousands of years ago. Archaeologists have been aware of the carved faces for years, but the low water levels have unearthed previously unseen specimens.
Okay.
The carvings appear to have been created by indigenous people before contact with European explorers. This region is a pre-colonial site which has evidence of occupation dating back some 1,000 to 2,000 years, said archaeologist Jamie Oliveira, according to Reuters. What we're seeing here are representations of anthropomorphic figures.
Interesting.
This time we found not just more carvings, but the sculpture of a human face cut into the rock, he said. In addition to the faces, the rocks are also marked in a way that suggests indigenous warriors used them to sharpen tools or weapons.
So they were sophisticated.
Amazon water levels dipped below 13 meters this week, with the Brazilian government attributing the phenomenon to climate change. Which I said, hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. You mean to tell me that the river was so low 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago that the people around at the time were carving various things into the rocks?
Right.
That would suggest to me that climate change would have nothing to do with the current low level of the river. It'll probably rain again in Brazil, and then the rocks will go unseen again for who knows how long.
Right.
But how this is covered on many sites. I chose a Fox News site. Timothy Nerozzi is the reporter, and when I say reporting isn't what it used to be, I guess I mean, wouldn't it have occurred to the reporter to say, hold up, wait a minute, you're telling me this is climate change, but you're also telling me that 2,000 years ago the river was so low that people were carving faces into the rocks. Now, in fairness to the reporter, no matter what site it would have been, this might have been a news release from the Department of Archaeology in Brazil, and nobody bothered to call and ask that question, or maybe they had no access to the government authorities who would have to comment on such a thing. But this is kind of silly to tell me this is climate change when, well, it is climate change. You know why?
Because it changes.
Because it always changes.
Right.
It was changed 2,000 years ago. And Oregon Goog said, let's paint some faces on these rocks.
Because the river is so low right now.
The so low now, Goog.
Right.
We can go down there with a sharpened stone, and I'm going to put my girlfriend in there.
There you go.
Yeah, and I don't know what Org did.
Her gun.
Yeah.
Drug.
It would also blow them away to learn that there were ancient rivers that also dried up a long time ago, thousands of years ago.
That's right.
Goes
So I
both
just thought
ways.
they'd mention that. I got kind of a chuckle out of it.
Yeah, a little chuckle.
You frauds, you phonies. Come on, there is no climate change brought about by humans. Oh, do you want some more on that?
Let's go. Yeah, I do.
We have a study out of Norway. And don't Mysterians trust Norwegians?
Yes.
We love that whole Scandinavian socialism bit, don't we?
They don't lie.
Huh? We love that whole Swedish Norway deal. They know how to live, man.
Yep.
A new study out of Norway is exactly what was needed to shut down the climate alarmist. Its findings show that man has not set fire to the planet.
Where's this from? I read this yesterday.
I'm getting it from issuesandinsights.com.
That's not it.
Using theoretical arguments and statistical tests, we find, the researchers say, that the effect of man-made CO2 does not appear to be strong enough to cause systematic changes in the temperature fluctuations during the last 200 years. In other words, our greenhouse gas effect is so weak that it should be sidelined as an argument. From there, the bad news does get worse for the Greta Thunbergs of the world. But again, what she's up to, and she doesn't know it, has nothing to do with the climate. Even if recent recorded temperature variation should turn out to deviate from previous variation patterns in a systematic way, it is still a difficult challenge to establish how much of this change is due to increasing man-made emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. The researchers from Statistics Norway, the government's official data agency, also addressed the apparent high degree of consensus among many climate researchers that the temperature increase of the last decades is systematic, while noting that it is certainly the impression conveyed by the mass media. But many of the true believers, of course, will not like this study because it's a roadblock in their plans to upend Western civilization. There's also a piece from the University of Alabama in Huntsville, climate scientists Roy Spencer and John Christie, who have submitted urban heat island effects in U.S. summer surface temperature data 1880 to 2015. They've submitted that to a science journal. They believe they have demonstrated that not only do the homogenized data set not correct for the effect of the urban heat island on temperature trends, but the adjusted data appear to have stronger urban heat island signatures than the unadjusted data. The bottom line is that an estimated 22% of the U.S. warming trend, 1895 to 2023, is due to localized UHI effects, and that the effect is much larger in urban occasions. In other words, the temperature record we're expected to accept without question is a sham, an argument we've been making for more than 20 years. I guess by we, they mean this outfit called Issues and Insights. And I could be linked to the Norwegian study, but it's a lot of graphs and math.
Got it. Please don't do that then.
But Insights and Issues writes, after so many decades, we finally realize that nothing will make these people shut up. They will continue swearing that every weather anomaly is caused by anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions and go on recalculating their end-of-the-world schedules in the same way that doomsday cults swear that they just got the day of doom wrong and then double down on the loco. For this, we will be the poorer financially and even intellectually. This is from the Issues and Insights editorial board. Insights and Issues was founded by seasoned journalists of the IBD editorials page. Our mission is to provide timely, fact-based reporting and deeply informed analysis of the news of the day without fear or favor. We're doing this on a voluntary basis because we believe in a free press and because we aren't afraid to tell the truth, even if it means we're targeted by the left. All right. They're preaching to me, and I'm in the choir because I'm a denier.
You are a denier.
I'm not a denier, Matt, that the climate changes. You know that, don't you, Matt?
It changes. She go up, she go down, she go all around.
All you got to do is look at them faces in the river.
Right.
2,000-year-old faces in the river. The river was down.
Right. But there's that whole erosion thing, and that's some good carving that if it held up, right?
They had some sharps. They were sharpening their sticks, so to speak.
What's this? Oh. One more note. We'll move on from climate because there's nothing more to be said except what they just said in that piece. The believers aren't going to change their mind because the goal they have in mind is much more nefarious and dire than adjusting the temperature. They
ain't going away.
They want to tell you what to do.
They ain't going to tell me what to do. I ain't painting no faces.
Well, one more item on the climate. We have Mitra Jalali, who, God help us, should be defeated. She should not be on any city council in this country. She raises a lot of money for Iran.
What's wrong with that?
She's now she's advertising a St. Paul celebration of sustainability featuring council member Mitra Jalali. It is scheduled for Monday, November 13th, 6 to 8 p.m., and you have to RSVP. And what they want to do is be joined in looking back on their successes of 2023. I don't know what those
How
would have
long is
been.
that list?
And looking ahead to next year. It's a free event featuring Jalali with an inspiring message, followed by a big announcement from the Sustain St. Paul board. Excuse me. I don't know what that announcement would be, but there's a reason I'm mentioning this. It's at the Dual Citizen Brewing Company on Raymond Avenue. Isn't that right over here?
Yeah, we've been there.
We have?
I think
I
so.
don't recall
under the
ever
tower.
going.
It's a new. We've been in that building for a meeting, but I think it has changed hands.
Yeah,
since.
I don't recall ever appearing anywhere at anything called Dual Citizen.
We met with
Brewing.
Rob O'Brien for a.
It was a meeting there. I distinctly remember watching you try to back into a parking spot and laughing my ass off.
Yeah, we've been there.
It was good times.
May I just say what I was attempting to say?
You were
I
trying to
don't-
back
I
in?
don't believe at the time it was called Dual Citizen.
I see.
Correct. It's new.
I think we made that clear to you if you were
Well,
listening.
here's why we're going to mention this. I'm sure it'll be fun. Mitra or her people provide transportation directions.
Well, that's nice.
You ready?
That's very nice.
This should be good.
By bike.
Okay.
Located off the Pelham Bikeway, part of the St. Paul Grand Round. Loads of bike racks. By rail. Green Line to the Raymond Avenue stop. Walk 1 block southwest. By bus. Adjacent to Route 63 and 87. All are welcome. Bring your family or a friend, but please RSVP. There's no mention of how to get there by car.
You cannot get there if you're driving a car.
If you have
Wow.
a car, obviously you wouldn't be bent on sustainability because these evil. Boy, I almost
You
said
almost
a
did.
really,
Careful.
really bad
Careful.
word. Yes, you
I
in
have
the
a
back.
question.
Yes.
Do you have the date of said event?
I believe I mentioned it.
Yeah, could you give that to me again?
Monday, November 13.
Okay. So if I want to hop on my bike in the middle of November
Yeah, you live down
and head
damn near
over
to Iowa.
Yeah, so would I take 169 on my bike?
Yes.
And then I would, take probably the crosstown?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. I'm just trying to think of the best
Yeah,
route to get
and
to the Pelham.
Staying on the shoulder.
Okay.
Although I
we,
think it could be argued that you would be an unnecessary attendee. You don't live in the sustainable urban core.
True, but I do work in St. Paul
Yes.
half the day.
If you're riding your bicycle on the freeway, do you ride against traffic or with
Ooh,
traffic?
that's a good point. Then that
How's that
depends on
work?
what off ramp you'd want to. Do you take the on ramp as an off ramp then, Kenny? If you're going against
Or the
traffic?
off ramp as the on ramp.
That's
Who
true.
knows?
Are we on?
It's hard.
Isn't that precious, though? The directions are offered for biking, light rail, and bus.
Yeah,
Isn't
ride
that
your bike on
precious?
November 13th.
You phonies.
That's where you know there. Is that what the wink and a nudge?
No, she doesn't wink and nudge. This is what she is all about reforming America. She is not. She does not have our interests at heart. She has her own interests at heart.
Come on down and meet the fellas.
Come on down and meet the fellas, but RSVP first.
Right.
I wonder if the conversation will drift into crushing Israel. I wouldn't doubt it.
I would like to know. She
Is that
said.
actually?
Oh, sorry, Kenny.
Is it actually on the agenda there? Is it say anything about discussing crushing Israel?
It wouldn't surprise me if that came up.
She did note that there are tons of open bike spots. It'd be
Yeah.
fun to see how many of those open bike spots are actually used. For
You
that
know what I
meeting.
like to do? I like to park my truck at an open bike spot.
Okay, from here, where is this place? Go back down University Avenue towards
It's right
St.
off
Paul.
Raymond.
Going off of Vandalia.
And then go north.
You would go.
Wait a minute.
No, if you've gone Vandalia, you've gone too far.
No, this is the one that's back by the railroad tracks. We have not been here.
Oh, this is
the one that is back. You know where the expressway, where you can see those buildings that are close to the tracks.
Yes.
There's an outdoor. There's a brewery.
You can stop right now.
Okay.
The reason I'm asking is it would be fun for one of us to check on the number of bikes that show up.
That's true.
And that it looks like
One
that would
of
have
us-
to be me.
One of us lives on that route to get home.
Yeah, but you're not going home at 6.
No, I don't think he's talking about
I'm not talking about me.
Yeah.
himself.
Talking about you.
I could do 15 of these. I've cut it back to doing one a year.
Okay.
Canceling Halloween. Right. I'll only do one this year because they've become predictable and inevitable given the DEI crowd.
Got it.
A New Jersey school district canceled school Halloween celebrations, citing its diversity, equity, and inclusion values, and the potential for the festival to be offensive to people from various cultural and religious backgrounds. Okay. Dr. Ronald G. Taylor, he's the super, of the South Orange and Maplewood School District, sent a letter to families on Oct 6 explaining why any Halloween celebrations in the district must be held after school hours. As you know, we are committed to promoting. See, if they were committed to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, then you'd have Halloween celebrations. So these people are just really a little bit backwards.
Ass backwards, as we like to say.
Our aim is to build a consistent approach across the district as to how our schools observe and celebrate holidays and special events, Taylor wrote. Each year, questions arise from families, students, and staff about what our schools will be doing regarding Halloween. So we're going to cancel it. The district reflected on the following questions.
Unreal.
Is promoting school-sponsored Halloween activities creating indirect and unintentional financial hardships for students and families? Do school-sponsored Halloween activities violate the dignity of some students and families, either culturally or religiously? Does the promotion of school-sponsored Halloween activities create tensions with the equity and access values of our district? The super's letter continued. Ultimately, it was determined that I know this may make some uncomfortable and elicit some challenges across our community. However, in the end, I feel these recommendations align with our district's commitment to building equity. Isn't this something?
It's something.
On the district's website, another release stated principals were surveyed on whether school-sponsored Halloween celebrations should continue or be replaced with a festival that is focused on autumn. All right?
That ain't
They
Halloween.
state the principal's overwhelming response favored canceling Halloween in favor of celebrating autumn.
So you get the single or the double, I wonder. You can't find the button.
This doesn't work.
Are you looking for the single or?
I just, nothing works on it, Chris. When I press the button, nothing works. And it really kind of blew the mood there, didn't it? You press on a thing to play and none of it plays.
What do you got?
See that,
Maybe,
Chris?
I see that.
Maybe not rely on tricky gimmicks to fill out.
Well,
your
Kenny,
show.
it wasn't going to be a tricky gimmick. It was going to be a song.
Let your words stand alone.
Let your words stand alone.
We'll figure during the break.
Oh, you mean we're not in break?
Yeah. Are we on?
Say, Grunhofer's is hiring. You want to get into the meat industry? You might as well go with the best.
Let's go. Let's see what they're featuring
They're
today.
looking for help at both the Forest Lake and Hugo stores for part-time positions. Now, here's what we can get right now. You ready? Bavarian Oktoberfest bratwurst. Are you kidding me?
How good is that?
That's Bavarian bratwurst. Tater tot hot dish bratwurst. Candy corn bratwurst. Candy corn is a popular Halloween candy if that does not affect you culturally.
Correct.
Right? Pre-made meals. Fall is always a busy time of year and you're pressed for time. Try one of the new Grunhofer's pre-made meals. They're the perfect, convenient solution to saving time while still getting a delicious meal. How about this? Baked beans and ground beef hot dish.
Yep.
Barbecue bean cups, cheesy potatoes, chili with beans, pulled pork, beef, chicken, and turkey, sloppy joes, Swedish meatballs, taco meat, and tater tot hot dish. All of these wonderful products are available at Grunhofer's Old Fashioned Meats, the meat capital of Garage Logic, all of Gumption County, and in fact, most of what used to be the free world. It's Grunhofer's Old Fashioned Meats in Hugo, right north of Hugo on Highway 61. You want to get your order ahead, call 651-426-2800.
The most debated question of all time, Bloody Marys or mimosas? What does it matter? Get a Grunhofer's beef and or chicken stick and throw that sucker right inside the drink.
That's part of the decorations, isn't it?
That's what they're featuring on their Instagram today.
Or if you prefer the Forest Lake store, that's on 97 immediately east of 35. You can call there, 651-982-1182, Grunhofer's Old Fashioned Meats.
Go on line one, and we're rolling.
The Earth is not your mother.
Yes.
The Joe Souchere
Why is it
Show.
working now?
So I fixed it.
Moon Motorsports.
I want to hear. I'm sorry, Kenny. Let me get this out.
Go ahead.
I want to hear more Dylan today, not this stuff.
This is Dylan.
Oh,
That is Dylan.
well, that too.
Okay.
Here's Kenny.
Whoops.
Wait a minute.
Moon giving us a number of reasons why right now is the best time of the year to buy a brand new motorcycle. The manufacturer incentives, they're at the peak right now. This new year models, they arrive. So the manufacturers, let's move the old ones. Stock replenishment at its best. Not only do we have the new models coming in, we still have last year's models sitting there. So, I mean, you have your choice. You can see all your choices at moonmotorsports.com. You can get 0 payments until 2024, this financing deal, and a free first motorcycle service deal at Moon Motorsports. And they are offering either free winter storage or free in-state delivery for all motorcycle purchases right now. That means if you're sitting in Ely and you want to buy a motorcycle on the web, they'll either store it for you or they'll bring it up to you. Or if you're like me, you're just going to go right to Monticello and throw a leg over a couple, 2-3 different models before you make that final choice. Moon, just a short drive from the Twin Cities to discover the most exciting power sports showroom in the area. It is an experience walking through those doors. They're south side of 94, just west of Highway 25. I know you've seen that giant white cathedral sitting there next to the freeway. We're talking KTM, Husqvarna, Polaris, Can-Am, BMW, Triumph, Ducati, Yamaha, Honda, Ski-Doo, and now, Gas. They sell gas motorbikes. That's 11 brands in one shop. MoonMotorsports.com.
Staff and listeners, do you recall the horrifying video from a month or two ago of the 2 teens driving in Vegas, and they're filming their own horrible activity, and they filmed themselves running down a fellow who turned out to be a retired policeman. And they killed him. His name was Andre Probst.
The last words before the collision was, "Let's get him."
Mm-hmm. Well, they were in court yesterday. I wonder how Mary feels about this one. 2 teens accused of killing a 66-year-old bicyclist were seen laughing and smiling in the direction of the victim's family yesterday in court. Jesus Ayala, 18, and Jasmine Keys, 16. Both face charges of murder in connection with the fatal hit-and-run crash that killed Andreas Probst. The retired police chief's widow and daughter, 60-year-old Crystal Probst and 27-year-old Taylor Probst, said they saw the two teenagers laugh in their direction and flip them off when they were waiting for Tuesday's hearing to start.
Wow.
Crystal Probst would be the daughter, said, no, I'm sorry, Crystal's the mom, the widow.
The wife. Yep.
Crystal Probst said she didn't let the two teenagers bother her, although she and her daughter believed that Ayala and Keys were trying to intimidate them. The two have been indicted on charges of murder, attempted murder, failing to stop at the scene of a crash, battery, residential burglary, grand larceny of a vehicle, and possession of a stolen vehicle. Both have pleaded not guilty. I don't know how they could. They filmed themselves and appeared on Tuesday before District Judge Jacqueline Bluth, who set a September 16th trial date for the pair, meaning they'll at least sit in jail till next September 16th. Keys is accused of filming a disturbing video showing the two laughing and intentionally hitting Probst. They are also accused of hitting another cyclist earlier that morning and crashing into another car just before ramming into Probst. Wow. Police said the teens stole multiple vehicles during the crime spree. And then the victim's family said, "How can you act this way? You can act this way because it's a clear example of there being evil among us. I don't know any other way to explain this one. They're remorseless. I don't know. I wonder how Mary Moriality would handle this one.
Oh, they're just kids, Joe.
Because Mary won another one yesterday. She got another one released. Where is it?
So a gal is getting the S beat out of her by her co-parent. She calls her brother. Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Calls her brother. Her brother shows up to defend his sister's honor, gets himself stabbed and killed. The guy that does it, that not only beat up the co-parent and killed her brother, is basically scot-free.
Relatives and friends of Antonio LeVar Moore, 37, filled the Hennepin County Courthouse hoping to see Judge William H. Koch reject the plea deal for Demetrius Lamar Harris, 28, of New Hope. As part of the deal, Harris pled guilty last month to manslaughter, and in exchange, the Hennepin County Attorney's Office agreed to drop a second-degree murder charge that would have carried a higher presumptive sentence. When Harris was charged in May, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriality issued a statement saying her thoughts were with the Moore family.
Yes.
Especially his sister, who he was protecting during the incident. Moriarty added that her office would aggressively prosecute the case to hold Mr. Harris accountable. Well, you didn't hold him accountable, Mary. Mary's spokesman, Nick Kimball, said that the prosecutors agreed to the pre-deal. Excuse me while I turn the page. They agreed to the pre-deal, to the plea deal, because Harris had a reasonable self-defense claim.
What?
And based on the evidence, second-degree manslaughter was the appropriate charge. So you go to the house where, because your sister called.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's living with someone who's
physically abusive.
I don't think she was living with him, but they were co-parenting their kids.
And he's beating her up.
Yep.
So she calls this guy?
Yeah.
And he stabs the guy.
Yeah, the guy shows up, he gets stabbed. And that's okay because it was a reasonable self-defense claim.
Okay.
And we don't know what kind of fight it was. I'm assuming they were just throwing hands. I don't know.
Well, the guy who got stabbed is not a good guy.
Yeah, in this case, he was.
He was the brother.
He was the brother.
Of the girl
woman
who was getting beaten by the co-parent.
And he was also a father.
Okay.
To a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old.
I was going to say, I had two kids.
I'm confused.
I can tell. The guy who was stabbed, Joe.
Was the guy doing the abusing?
No.
Now, see, that's what confused me. So that's why I said the guy who got stabbed is not necessarily a good guy. I'm not suggesting he should have been killed. I'm just saying he was a bad guy in this case.
No.
Well,
No.
Let's start from the beginning.
Guy A is beating the S out of the gal.
Right.
The co-parent.
The gal calls Guy B. Guy B.
Who is the brother?
The brother.
Brother of the woman?
Correct.
The brother of the woman. The brother of the woman shows up. They start throwing hands. Guy A, the bad guy, stabs the brother, the good guy.
I got it. I'm sorry.
And Guy A is the one who...
I got it.
Slap on the wrist.
Right.
I got it.
Pat on the head.
Who Mary ruled with an iron fist.
Couple of cookies sent on his way.
Okay. I get it.
You good now?
Yes.
Okay.
Got her. Crystal.
Moore's sister called him for help after Harris punched her twice in the face. She and Harris were co-parenting their child. When Moore arrived at the Brooklyn Center apartment, the men got into a fight. Harris stabbed Moore and fled. He was arrested that night and charged 3 days later. I got it. And Mary has arranged for, what did he get, a couple of months in the workhouse and then probation?
It's 2 years, I think.
Yeah, he'll be out of custody in 2 years, and he's getting credit, I think, for 6 months.
Well, why didn't he go to jail for 25, 30 years?
Well,
Because that's not how Mary rolls.
Right. And the guy said, well, I'm sorry for your loss, Harris.
I said,
I'm sorry for your loss. 2 kids, Joe.
Okay, the weather is... I did make some calls. I said yesterday I got a lot going on.
Yep.
I got a lot of my mind around the old house.
Got it.
So I've been getting stuff fixed and worked on. And now I got to call my garage door guy. My garage door guy is the whole family.
This has finally made it to that portion of the list.
It's moved to the top of
All
the
right,
list.
good.
Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities.
I'm beginning to doubt whether or not you're going to make the call. And I'm sure the Precision Garage Door people are listening. What you guys need to do is just show up.
Yep.
Because he's not going to get around to calling you. Just show up.
No,
And,
I am going to call because she's making some bad noises. We're heading into winter. I don't want that thing to act up. I want them to take care of it, and they will. They work weekends. They don't even charge extra for weekends. They serve the Metro and Western Wisconsin. And when you write this number down in your telephone closet as your garage guy, you get the whole family, a GL family, Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities. Let's face it. There's 100 of these places, right? 200, 500 garage door outfits. You need the right one. These are the right people, and they'll take care of everything, including, a couple times because of timing issues, my garage door was twice back through, and
Timing issues.
and the report I got was, well, my timing was off.
Yeah.
And,
I do remember that.
Yeah. And I would have had to call a Precision Door in that case, but that was before I was aware.
What was the follow-up to my timing was off?
Well, a new door.
No, I meant verbally. What was the...
At that point, there's nothing to be said.
Okay.
There's nothing to be said. You learn after many, many years that...
even when you're right.
It's
you're
the 50-50-90
Yeah,
rule.
you're partially
I had
wrong.
a 50% chance of being right. I was going to be wrong 90% of the time. Well, what she does, she comes down and she hits the opener that's on the wall, right? Then gets in her car, backing up, thinking she's got it timed just right. No, she crashed through the door twice because her timing was off. It wasn't all the way up.
But that's still your fault.
That's my fault.
Yeah,
my
it's your
fault. Should have been up faster.
The garage door
You
is
should
too
have got a
slow.
different kind of opener.
Definitely your fault.
And these are the kind of things I have to take up with Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities. You fellas don't know what you're getting into here. We've got a lot of things we got to take care of.
What kind of speed are we talking about here with the new door?
A lot of people.
You've been warned. You've been warned.
Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities. Reach them at precisiondoormn.com or 612-263-0009. 6985.
Not a Garage Logic Town Council member? Here's what you're missing.
No, it's unfortunate that Mark was told by his parents that he was allergic to beer and he would break out in hives if he had beer.
Oh, no.
So he didn't. But as any good group of friends, what did we make him do? Drink the beer. And then he broke out with hives.
Well, that doesn't include whiskey, though, right?
We weren't that advanced yet.
Can I ask you something?
Yep.
How much can you get if you rob a theater like the Grandview?
It was all cash.
$100?
No, it was all cash back then.
Oh, on a Friday or Saturday back then?
Yeah, there was. They
Ain't no
didn't take
Netflix back
now
then,
they take
bro.
credit cards, but back then it was cash money.
I'm going to need all that?
Yeah.
Go behind the scenes of Garage Logic with unfiltered audio and video access, invites to exclusive events, an emailed newsletter from the mayor himself, and more by signing up at garagelogic.com.
Here's a guy.
Oh.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
I'm making what? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe. I was
We're going to Kenny or Johnny?
I'm making a list here.
And checking it twice. You're going to find out if you're naughty or nice.
Two
Santa Claus is-
weed whips, a pole saw, an angry little rototiller that's hard as hell to hold on to, and a brand new hole digger thing that I just love. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items are all going to get dosed this afternoon. Well, not this afternoon, probably tomorrow. I'm busy this afternoon, but I got to dose them because, like Joe, I'm getting ready for winter. And part of getting ready for winter is dosing everything. Dosing it with what, you ask? I think you already know the answer. Seafoam. Everything gets a dose. In the case of these items, tiny little tanks. They're just going to get a little cap full. We don't have to put a whole bunch in.
Bought a can yesterday.
Yeah, and when we're talking little two-stroke run motors, just a little dab will do you. That's all you need to preserve the cruddy gas. Actually, this isn't cruddy gas. It's that really expensive stuff. You buy a gallon of it in a tin. It's already pre-mixed, 50-1. It's really expensive.
It's
but
gas.
It works. But it works really good. It's pre-mixed. You buy it at a small engine store. But I put a little bit in just to make sure everything fires up next spring. I love talking about Seafoam. I love using Seafoam. It's fast. It's easy to use. It means I don't have to drag my stuff into the guys into town, or I don't have to tear down a carburetor on the bench. I hate doing that. It gets rid of rough idle, loss of power. All that is gone. And it just makes life so much easier. And all it takes is just a little bit of sip to clean and lubricate the entire fuel system. A wonderful product in a world of bad gas. Seafoam.
Here's John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news is brought to you by North American Banking Company. An investigation underway today in Minneapolis after shots were fired overnight at Lake Harriet's boat launch on East Harriet Parkway. The Minneapolis Parks and Rec Board says a park police officer investigating a suspicious vehicle that was illegally parked and blocking access to the Lake Harriet boat launch at about 5 minutes to midnight last night when a man who claimed to own the vehicle came up to the officer. The MPRB then says the man was uncooperative and combative with the officer and at one point fired shots in the officer's direction. The officer returned fire, but neither the suspect nor the officer was hurt. Authorities say the suspect ran off. The officer called for help in finding him. Officers from both Park Police and Minneapolis Police responded, and they did find the man a short distance away. He's not yet been publicly identified, and the investigation is continuing. The board also says the officer involved in the incident did have a body camera on, and it was active. Minneapolis Police are investigating at the request of Park Police. Minnesota Representative Tom Emmer will not be House Speaker. He withdrew yesterday after opposition from some Republicans, including former President Trump. House Republicans then chose Representative Mike Johnson as their latest nominee for the House Speaker spot. Johnson of Louisiana is a member of House GOP leadership, a lawyer specializing in constitutional issues who had rallied Republicans around Trump's legal effort to overturn the 2020 election results. They do plan on a vote later this afternoon, and Johnson has already been endorsed by Donald Trump, and also by the fellow that pretty much started all this, Matt Gaetz.
John, this is from C-SPAN. Mike Johnson has officially been elected. He received 220 votes. Jeffries received 206 votes.
I thought
so we have a Speaker of the House.
Well, it says 220 on the.
You need 217.
Yeah.
217, okay. All right, so Mike Johnson is the new Speaker then.
Yep.
This just in. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
You got anything else to say about this, Joe? You're not going to make me say it, are you?
I think it's worth noting.
I think you go ahead, Kenny.
I don't want to because I live out in the rural area. And,
I'll say it.
Go ahead, Chris.
Why are we allowing this clown show to just continue to fester in both sides? Why are we allowing a guy that doesn't even currently hold political office to pull the puppet strings on a particular party? What the hell is going on?
And just remember, those people on the third rail have nothing to do with us.
Nothing. Including the guy that claims he's for the people.
Right.
He's not going to stop and visit a farmer whether you farm 8,000 acres, 800, or 8 acres. He doesn't like you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. In other news, 4 Minnesota men have been indicted by a federal grand jury for their role in a national catalytic converter theft ring. The numbers in this story, I don't know if you guys saw this, pretty amazing. I thought federal prosecutors say John C. Cotton and Justin Johnson made about $21 million over a 2-year span by selling.
What?
Yeah, by selling stolen catalytic converters to buyers across the U.S. The indictment, which includes charges of transporting stolen property across state lines and money laundering, comes after federal investigators announced a national takedown last year that included searches here in Minnesota. The investigators say Cotton and Johnson oversaw an organized conspiracy that included street-level cutters and intermediary buyers. Cotton, Johnson, and others would buy the catalytic converters from thieves and sell them to buyers in New York and New Jersey. According to the indictment, unsealed Tuesday, federal investigators seized hundreds of converters, trucks, tools, and more than $500,000 from homes and bank accounts. 2 other men, So Mu and James Jensen, were indicted for buying and transporting the converters on behalf of Cotton and Johnson. Cotton tried to create the impression of a legitimate scrapping and recycling business by buying junk cars from individual sellers or at auctions to obtain titles or bills of sale, according to court filings.
Why does a catalytic converter need copper? Did you look that up, Rook?
Yep.
Aren't they stealing the copper? Isn't that what they want?
It's more than that. There's other precious metals.
And why does a catalytic converter need those materials?
Well, because it's spewing. The exhaust spews.
But what property does copper entertain that it
stops spewing?
Inhibits the spewing? Why
takes
copper?
Takes all the fun out of owning cylinders.
According to IOP Science, it can reduce the CO exhaust emission by 16% with the addition of copper to the catalytic converter.
But I'm wondering why copper? But I don't want to dwell on it. I want John to continue.
I say, why not?
Yeah.
All I can say is the copper in the catalytic converters can cause conniptions. All right, thank you.
You'll never get me, copper.
Yeah, see?
I love my catalytic converter.
I just showed my age because all I could think of was that old Jack Webb, Johnny Carson bit with the copper clappers.
What they've been stealing.
Yeah, the copper clappers.
That's why I said that sentence with all season. I'll just shut up now.
Okay. Old reference lost on younger audience.
Very much
At my former...
It was Bob and Ray like, wasn't it, John?
It was Jack Webb and Johnny Carson.
Oh, very subtle humor. Very subtle.
Copper clappers. Book.
Yes,
Rick, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say, at one of my former employers.
Are you looking up what I told you?
In the break room. Yeah, it doesn't say.
Right.
Nobody cares, Joe.
It was discussed in the break room that somebody has been stealing the Cadillac converters.
Yeah.
Where that Cadillac converter at? I'm not
turns
joking.
Turns them into Lincolns.
I didn't even correct it. I just let it go.
You know, I shouldn't do this, but that's how my wife says it too, and I try to correct her every time, but she can't say the word catalytic. I don't know why.
Would it
catalytic?
Would that same discussion have then transformed into climate control?
Yes.
And can I borrow your truck, which isn't a truck?
Right, that's spot on. Right.
Oh, I see. You
I love
undercover boss.
Yeah,
that guy should have his own podcast.
The Minneapolis Fire Department says that their investigation into the fire that broke out at the former Kmart in Minneapolis is finished, but both the origin and cause of the fire are undetermined. Additionally, MFD says with the help of some other departments, they searched for any possible victims in the area of the building using cadaver dogs and infrared technology. No victims were found. Initially, Assistant Minneapolis Fire Chief Melanie Rucker said at a press conference on the day of the fire that looking in the collapsed section for any trapped victims was dangerous and difficult at that time. The building was set to be demolished anyway in the spring. MFD says the start date and timeline for the demolition will be released in a few days. City of Minneapolis still taking feedback from the community about how to develop the site after the former store is completely gone.
Let me quote Bill Glahn of the American Experiment. They've just given up, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the homeless burned it down. You're just
no. The unhoused.
The unhoused.
Get it
They're
right.
just giving up.
Yeah.
They just building burned down.
Did they find any accelerants, John? Anything?
Nothing. They said nothing. They found nothing that would indicate anything started the fire. So
interesting.
We didn't start the fire.
Now, see, that building would have been another candidate for my idea. How many small living units could you have had inside there? 50? 100?
More than that. That place was huge.
But my idea is not working for anyone.
At this point, while Joe's ideas are not working, let's take a break and hear from our buddy, the Rookster.
Let's do that. And once you are going to go to a certain website, I'm going to give you, you're going to find a whole bunch of information. I love the fact that Minnesota Masonic Charities has got a long list of so many charities, scholarships, buildings. They help just about everybody at every age possible. From the young trying to communicate to young people that are students with scholarships, and possibly toward the end of your life, you may need a place to stay. Well, the Minnesota Masonic Charities has got a great campus in Bloomington, and they take care of the elderly. Now, if you're looking for a list of Masons across the, globe and over the last several hundred years, you can do that. You can Google that yourself. There's some pretty big names, and you're going to be impressed. And all of those people were either at the top of their careers, or they were world leaders, or they were just really good people. Well, that continues today in 2023. Minnesota Masonic Charities is online at mnmasoniccharities.org. There's so much information on their website. The history of the Masons, the funny handshakes and the secret meetings, but the secret's out now. They want you to know more about them so you can see the good that they do. No secrets, none of that stuff. mnmasoniccharities.org.
I'm ready.
You are? Are you sure you're ready?
Truth, justice, and the Souchere.
You know what you're ready for? A better banking experience, Joe Souchere.
It is the season.
North American Banking Company, proud supporters of John's Very Average Newscast, but they are here to serve you and your family with all of your banking needs. I made the switch a couple of months ago. You should too. North American Banking Company is locally owned and operated. Here's why that's a big deal. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So for all of you business owners, that means you're going to be able to solve problems quickly and expand your business with confidence. 6 convenient locations to serve you. My location's in Roseville, but you can also see them at 50th and France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and their new location in Maple Grove. They get it. They understand that there's a lot of banking options. So they do offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but with the unparalleled service of a community bank. So check them out online today, nabankco.com. That's nabankco.com to learn more. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
In other news, and before I forget, thanks to Mike for reminding me of this. Mike always sends really good emails. And to Chris for reminding me of this. Dean Phillips, it appears on Friday, will go to New Hampshire and register to run in the primary. And
Oops, I'm sorry.
He will be running against Joe Biden, of course, as a Democrat. And there also is already on the road, at least being tested out, a Dean Phillips bus, it appears.
Got to have
spotted in Ohio, I believe.
Got to have a bus. Yeah. I have a theory about this. I have a theory that
Thanks, Dean.
Phillips is running with the permission of the party's inner circle. that they don't want Biden to run because they think he's too old.
Okay.
And so what Phillips is laying the ground for Biden to realize that maybe his time has come and gone. You're not going to be running Joe, and Joe will see that with Phillips, and then Phillips will pave the way for somebody who can actually win.
Swoop in.
Because Phillips can't win because nobody knows who he is.
Nobody knows who he is.
But he's a harmless guy. He hasn't made any enemies.
Okay.
And so
he's safe.
The big cigar said, Dean, you run, because we have to start planting the idea with Uncle Joe here that he's not going to be the candidate. That's my theory.
So you don't think that Phillips stands a chance?
No.
Why would they run him?
I just gave you my theory.
I don't.
To soften up Joe to the idea that Joe, you're not going to be running in next year.
So who are they really going to run?
I don't know who they're really going to run. They got to come up with somebody they think they can win.
You took the words out of my mouth.
He's a communist.
Well, but what if the Democratic Party came to Dean Phillips and said, we need you to ride the bus? And if he said, I don't ride the bus, but if I did,
it'd have to be my own presidential bus.
Right.
So our buddy Scott Johnson, who works at Powerline Blog, is related to Dean. They're cousins.
Oh.
And he wrote a very interesting piece, kind of a personal piece about his cousin Dean in today's Powerline Blog.
All right. Saying what? That Dean will make a great president?
Just kind of backgrounding us on who he is and that Dean really believes in what he's doing, et cetera, and he's not phony, on and on and on.
Right, and he's going to be the one that they've allowed to run. They're saying, you go get him, Dean, and let Joe see this, and that's going to help Joe realize.
Dean can't be so stupid as to not realize that.
No, I think Dean is a willing
get his name
teammate.
Out there. Get his name out there.
I think he's acting in the role of a willing teammate for his party. That's my thing.
And then elsewhere, where was it? Oh, it was on Alpha News. Minnesota Democrats call on Phillips to resign to challenge Biden.
Yeah. And again, all of that to soften up Biden for the idea that I'm not wanted in 2024.
But this is on par or parallel with who was the dummy that ran for governor? Corey Heppola. I mean, who are you kidding? No one's going to vote for you. I'm tossing my hat in the ring.
I did a Chris Reavers. I read the headline. I didn't read the story.
Attaboy.
Now I'm reading the story, and it's completely the opposite of what I said. They want him to resign because they're disappointed in him.
Oh no, that's what your dad says to you.
Boy, if I had to call on every congressman I was disappointed to resign,
I know. We'd be here all day, wouldn't we? Virtually all of them.
The best line, though, about the Dean Phillips bus was the first bus powered by vodka. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty good line.
He's from the Booze family?
Yeah. Phillips Distributing.
In other news, I'm going to use the term roundup a lot in the next couple of minutes, okay?
Right.
First, let's go with a Mideast roundup.
Oh, the roundup.
Do you need a whip?
Jeez,
I love roundups.
I thought we were going to go rural and talk about Roundup Ready corn.
That's what I thought. Roundup the weed killer.
Joe likes to talk corn. Yeah. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken warning Iran that the U.S. would respond decisively to any attack by its proxies. The U.S. has accused Iran of assisting a renewal of attacks on U.S. forces based in Iraq as part of a coalition there. Israel struck infrastructure belongings to the Syrian army, including mortar charges. All of that happened because they said Syria fired a rocket toward Israel. And Hamas launched a massive rocket barrage on Tuesday afternoon at Israel, injuring at least 5 Israelis. They hit the cities in Holon, Tel Aviv, Kfar Saba, and Yavne, while the barrage sent more than 1 million running for cover. All of the wounded were said to be lightly injured. In another roundup, in a courtroom showdown 5 years in the making, Donald Trump's fixer-turned-foe, Michael Cohen, testified he worked to boost the supposed value of the former president's assets to whatever number Trump told us to. Meanwhile, his final chief of staff, that would be Trump's, Mark Meadows, apparently has spoken with special counsel Jack Smith's team at least 3 times this year, including once before a federal grand jury, which came only after Smith granted Meadows immunity to testify under oath. And at the end of this roundup, Jenna Ellis, a pro-Trump lawyer who amplified former President Trump's claims of election fraud, pleaded guilty as part of a deal with prosecutors in Georgia. She apologized. She is the fourth defendant to plead guilty in the Georgia case. She said she agreed to be sentenced to 5 years of probation, pay $5,000 in restitution, and perform 100 hours of community service.
See, my theory would go so far as to include the idea that the party insiders said to the Minnesota delegation, you guys pretend you're mad at Phillips for doing this, and that'll show that Phillips has the resolve to run, and that sends an additional message to Joe.
What a practice we deceive when we... What a web we weave when we practice to deceive.
Well, the Democrats are very good at politics. They're very good.
Yeah, they are.
Very good at it. The Republicans don't exist anymore. There's probably at least 3 or 4 different Republican parties within the under the roof in Washington.
Another roundup, sort of. I'm going to cheat a little here. We had some deaths.
If you do that again, you'll have to leave. I'm sorry. And you'll leave and then never come back.
You won't get Johnny's stories.
Never come back.
Right.
Deaths. Richard Roundtree, who played Shaft, of course.
Can you dig it?
In the original movie, 1971, has died. Roundtree was 81 years old. He had
He was a
pancreatic
bad
cancer.
mom.
You shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Rookie, I bet there was a lot of narration in Shaft movies.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Though it wasn't his cause of death, Roundtree was also a well-known breast cancer survivor. He was diagnosed in 1993. He became an advocate for greater breast cancer awareness among men.
I did know men got breast cancer.
I like his jacket.
I didn't know that.
Shay, where you get that jacket at?
Couple of deaths since we last did a news report on the show. Burt Young, the actor, the very burly Queensbred actor. We all know him, known mostly for Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Paulie.
He died.
Friends don't know Paulie. They do because they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Thank
Burt
you.
died at the age of
Paulie?
83.
No, that's Rocky.
Oh.
At the age of 83, Burt
10
Young
years
died.
ago, you was giving me the stinking X-Lax watch.
He was also in Once Upon a Time in America and Chinatown. He amassed more than 160 film and television credits, usually playing a mob boss, a street-smart detective, or a bedraggled working man.
Well, in one of the Rockford Filed episodes, he was the bedraggled wino working man.
There you go.
He had that look.
Mm-hmm.
He did. And last death, certainly not least, a rock and roll death, Dwight Twilley died last week. Pioneer became what became known as power pop. He had a couple of top 40, actually top 20 hits. Several really good rock albums. Died last week at the age of 72. Twilley and bandmate Phil Seymour had a hit in 1975 with the song I'm on Fire, stomping pop rocker that hit number 16. They called themselves the Dwight Twilley Band, and you know how it goes in rock and roll bands. That would cause a rift between the two because Phil's name wasn't part of the name of the band. As a solo artist, Twilley hit number 16 again in 1984 with a song called Girls that featured a counterpoint vocal by Twilley fan and friend Tom Petty. Just a week before his death, the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame announced his induction. Authorities say Twilley was alone in his car when he had a massive stroke, lost control of his vehicle, and hit a tree. He died later at a local hospital with his family by his side. Again, Dwight Twilley was 72.
That song, I'm on Fire, was a pretty good song, if I recall it correctly.
I'm on fire.
Yeah,
Girls was a great song, too. Very good. He had an album called Twilley Don't Mind, or they did. I guess it was they then. That was very good. Other news, off-duty pilot facing 83 attempted murder charges after he allegedly tried to shut off the engines of a plane mid-flight, admitted yesterday to taking psychedelic mushrooms 2 days before. That according to new arrest documents. 44-year-old Joseph Emerson was riding in the cockpit of the plane as an authorized occupant on Sunday night when he's unsuccessfully trying to disrupt the engines about halfway between Astoria and Portland. In the official criminal complaint, Emerson is stated to have been sitting in the cockpit's jump seat when chatting with pilots. He said, "I'm not okay. then pulled the handles of the fire suppression system, which are used to stop engine fires and shut off fuel to the engines. One of the pilots quickly grabbed Emerson while the other declared an in-flight emergency. He initially resisted, but records say Emerson settled down after about a 30-second struggle. Court documents say Emerson wasn't able to fully pull down the handles and fully shut off the engines. If he had, it would have, quote, shut down the hydraulic and the fuel to the engines and turned that aircraft into a glider within seconds. Witnesses said Emerson peacefully walked to the back of the plane, and once seated, he told a flight attendant, "You need to cuff me right now or it's going to get bad." So they put his wrist in a pair of flex cuffs, and once the airplane made an emergency landing in Portland, he was put under arrest.
And now he's saying, I'm sorry I scared the bleep out of you.
Yeah, right. No more shrooms.
But it was 2 days before that?
Yeah,
and he hadn't slept for 40 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is nothing. Keith Richards once went at least a week without sleep.
Kenny, I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing, so I did a little research, and the effects can last 24 to 48 hours. Because I thought the same thing. I thought, well, that's weird. With psychedelic mushrooms.
Do we know why he took the mushrooms?
I know people who have.
Why?
He was depressed.
Why not?
He was depressed. He was recently divorced. He was... Yeah, he was just not having fun.
You know what, John? He wasn't himself.
And now
you go.
We're seeing news now that microdosing is the way to go to get yourself out of depression. I don't think I agree with that. And I happen to know some people that have a lot of experience with that sort of thing, and I have never heard them say that they were tripping for 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, this wasn't
that's what they say.
Sometimes when you're driving grain carts, does it seem like you've been out there for a year?
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, I was just wondering if a guy like you would ever drive grain cart and kind of get lost in his thoughts.
You just kind of drive off the corn into the grass.
Yeah.
You've received a lot of long, lengthy text messages from me when I've been in the grain cart. You can probably answer that yourself.
Is that what they call it? Been in the grain cart?
Yeah, no.
I will say that Kenny shared some, I won't share it on the air, Kenny, but he shared some information with me while I was in Bismarck about what he did in driving last, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday.
Was it about the
quite
bass?
Interesting.
It was a bass player, right? Oh, no.
Well, that's how it started.
Oh,
yes.
It was the murder I committed. Yeah.
It was the murder you committed.
I committed a murder from the tractor.
When you're driving grain cart, don't you have to hold the steering wheel?
Yeah.
Well, how do you text then?
You're going about 0.2 miles an hour.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I should share that murder story or not.
Yeah, I did. That's why I didn't want to give
the entire town is proud of me and patting me on the back, and I'm a big deal up here.
We all thought it was a very good deal in Bismarck. We thought,
murder.
good.
Yeah. I don't think I told the other fellas about this, John.
I'm going to guess you get rid of a varmint.
I hope so. Oh, do I hope so?
I'm driving in my grain cart.
I turn on the radio. I pull you closer.
John, let's bring it back to music. I
no.
also sent you a text about some bass player. What song was that? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was Josie, wasn't it?
Oh, that's
Dan?
right. Yeah. Who was the bass player on Josie?
That is Chuck Rainey. Have you ever seen... just a minute now. There's a wonderful 60-minute show that used to be on VH1 called The Making of, and they pick
I've
an
seen
album.
That. Yeah.
You've seen the Asia one, right?
Yeah.
Chuck Rainey shows how he came up with that bass part, and he said Becker and Fagan didn't like slapping a lot, so he turned his back to him so they couldn't hear him slap, and then he'd slap and then
John,
and slap.
That makes my nipples hard. That song. It's that good.
The drumming in that, the guitar playing in that is just everything's wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway,
there you go. All right,
now back to Joe.
Now
No,
back
it's
to
John.
Joe.
I think it's John.
Oh, John. Okay. What do we got?
No,
left
you're
here?
done.
Okay. I guess I'm done.
Well, if you want to be.
Fine. And that's the end of the roundups.
See, it's the time of year
Chris?
when the center of the American experiment. What?
John wanted me to play the whip again.
It's
and I don't
the
want to
end
get
of the
fired
roundup.
today.
We're not going to do
I don't want to get
roundup.
fired today.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The Center of the American Experiment is undertaking its Golden Turkey Awards. You come up with the biggest waste of Minnesota government money that you can think of and submit that, and you could win the Golden Turkey Award. If you have an example of ridiculous spending, by the government. Mine is the surplus. Go to America. It's not very original, is it?
No, it's really not.
Go to the
Not a lot of thought went into that.
Go to the AmericanExperiment.org/Golden Turkey, the center of the American Experiment. They've come up on the show today. They come up frequently. You should check out their website. We'll be naming the finalists on October 30. In the winter, the winner of the 2024 Golden Turkey Award will be announced November 22nd, right here on this show.
On this show?
Right here on Garage Logic. So if you have an example of ridiculous spending by the Minnesota government, and they're not hard to come up with, for example, we're hiring somebody to answer phone calls in the event that they're flooded with calls from Ukrainians who are here and looking for some help and advice.
Hold, please. Please hold.
You can get a phone job just being that person. So go to AmericanExperiment.org/Golden Turkey.
Cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
Only because they come to us all the way from Mirador, San Jose, Ecuador. From the traveling Lymans at worldwidewaftage.com. Mm-hmm. On this day,
October 25th,
1892, James H. Burrell became the first African-American member of the St. Paul Police Force and the first documented
African-American police officer here in the state.
Oh. In 1924, on this day,
10-5,
Charles Evans Hughes, Secretary of State and future Supreme Court Justice, gave a speech in which he
malfunctioning?
No, the printer went on.
Praises President Calvin Coolidge, blasts third-party top politics, and condemns corrupt politicians in front of 10,000 people in St. Paul.
Are you the new interpreter? What's going on?
On this day,
he speaks Joe.
Joe was only going to have half sentences all day.
October 25th.
In this day,
October 25th.
1941, one of my favorite novelists was born in Minneapolis, Mary Tyler. Ann Tyler. She published many popular books, including The Accidental Tourist. What else, John?
Breathing Lessons.
Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant, Celestial Navigation. I've enjoyed her immensely, but her most recent one I could not read.
And here with an in-depth review of Accidental Tourists is Garage Logic's Matthew Mikulski.
What's the name of it again?
Accidental Tourist.
Oh, I've lived that every day. You know, if you're going to Australia and you hopped on the Austria plane, you're in big trouble. You know,
accidentally.
You are the accidental tourist.
Tourist.
And Ann Tyler won the Pulitzer Prize in 1989.
Yeah, for breathing lessons.
Yeah.
They turned Accidental Tourist into a movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
On this day,
where they going today in the plane? Where that accident gonna happen?
On this day in 1987. In the seventh game of the World Series, the Twins beat the Cardinals with a score of 4-2. What, John?
4-2.
Yeah, Chris knows. We'll let him do that one.
Right.
What was the final play? It was a two-hopper to Gary Gaetti that threw to Herbeck for the final of the World Series.
To Herbeck.
There you go.
Yep.
On this day,
October 25th.
In 1991, Mang Kru Ung, founder of the first Cambodian refugee center in Minnesota, died. Born in Pre Vang, Cambodia, she...
Oh, it's a long one, Joe.
Yeah.
Immigrated to the United States in 1984 and established the Refugee and Immigrant Resource Center in
Farmington. In 1993,
the center merged with the Khmer Association of Minnesota to form the United Cambodian Association of Minnesota, offering cultural, legal, and employment services to refugees and immigrants.
And a sad note on this day.
Yeah.
Are you talking about October 25th?
2002. While running for a third term, U.S. Senator Paul Wellstone died in a plane crash that was in Hibbing. He was elected to the Senate in 1990 as a liberal Democrat. By today's standards, he's a rock-ribbed Republican.
That was 21 years ago.
Wow, look at that change, that political change here in Minnesota anyway. Norm Coleman gets in.
He would have gladly become a Democratic Socialist. I think he would have morphed into one. But at the time, he was a typical old line Minnesota Democrat, don't you think, John?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You think he would have morphed into that?
I do.
I think he could have, yes, easily.
I see him being a little more common sense.
I've told you my story about him, though. He showed me something. I've told you this story.
What?
I got to be friends with a guy named Tiger Jack Rosenblum.
Oh, yeah.
And Tiger Jack had a little shack. The shack's still there.
Lucky Rosenblum runs it now. Dale in 94.
Dale in 94. Is Lucky one of his kids?
Lucky is one of his kids.
And I got to know Tiger. I went and visited him and talked to him. And Tiger was, a town sage, shall we say, right?
Yes.
Came up here on a boxcar. He called himself a boxcar boy. That he had a name tag on his toe when he arrived. I mean, it was the old days.
Right.
And in any event, Tiger died. And I went to a spontaneous gathering of people at the shack.
Okay.
And Wellstone and his wife, no cameras, no press, no TV. They also walked onto the scene because I think they were living over in Cathedral Hill.
Okay.
So they walked down there wondering if anything would be going on at Tiger Jack's shack, and there they were. And I talked to him that night, and I thought that was a gesture of realness.
But see, you also, yes, and you mined that out of him at his state fair appearances. Yeah. He appeared at every year with us at the state fair in the debates, whatever the case may be, and you saw that he had that. He didn't have that glossy-eyed. He didn't get overcome by the third rail stuff.
Again,
hard to.
And I don't want to rip him because God bless his memory, but I think he was capable of having of perhaps morphing into a full-fledged Mysterian.
I'm going to stay with my belief.
All right, that's fine.
But I do love the quote that George Bush.
Who's that little bleep?
Who's that chicken shit?
Yeah, who's that chicken?
Who's that chicken shit?
Well, you remember
he had a bus. He had the green bus. Remember that?
Oh,
that was Pat Forcia. Pat Forcia. That whole campaign.
That's right.
Yeah, the little green bus.
Yeah.
You remember though his first election, he promised he would not run again,
That's
and
right.
then he did.
I think he
he got a little taste.
He forgot about that.
Well, he said his work was not done.
Yeah. Well, I again.
But look at how that changed. Norm Coleman gets in. Had affected Palenti.
Mm-hmm. You and I flew to Washington that day.
Yeah. And
You remember my Paul story, right?
No.
Yeah, First Ave.
No. We when he was running the first time, we had his home phone number, and whenever we wanted to talk to him, we'd just call, and it would ring in the kitchen. Sheila would answer. She'd put him on. And then after he'd get off, his handlers would call me super pissed off that we didn't go through them to get the interview. Bob would just say, call Paul. Let's see what he says.
Yeah.
And that's how accessible he was.
He was accessible.
Well, that's what we do with Betty McCollum right now and Tina Smith.
That's
and
how
Amy
I wouldn't
Klobuchar.
be able to. I couldn't identify Betty McCollum in a crowd of two.
I've seen Tina Smith twice at the airport.
Have you ever seen Betty?
I've never seen Betty, and they have to when they arrive, they come through right by our office.
I have yet to see Betty McCollum in public in the city of St. Paul, Minnesota.
Same,
and she's a career representative.
That's just mind-boggling.
Did you
she
see
hasn't
what
accomplished anything, but she's a career representative.
You see what Amy's doing for us? She's bringing a stop to hazing.
Let's go!
Thank God.
Give me that tape.
Well, I'm on her side. I think hazing is dreadful.
Yeah, you don't think we've got some bigger issues to contend with?
We do. Remember what else Amy went to bat for us? We kind of ended up defending the motorcycle industry one time when
batteries.
Lead was outlawed, and then this prohibited dealers from selling the bikes because
mini bikes.
The kids would eat the battery or something.
Yeah.
And Amy
said
jumped
what?
all over that.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker.
But she's off my list now. I don't count Amy anymore as a friend. Well, she was never. She would say she was a friend. I would say she was a friend. But I don't count her anymore. I don't trust her. She was one who she fell into the trap of saying, if you don't vote for Democrats, we'll have worse hurricanes.
Right.
That was the end for me.
Not true.
That was the end for me. So, see ya.
Thanks, GLers.
See
What are you
ya.
trying to say?
Amy,
See you later.
you're
Wait a
not
minute.
getting a Christmas card.
Was that on the air?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I thought we were
I
done.
forgot, too. I thought we were just doing town council.
Jeez. I hope I didn't say anything awful.
I would have stopped you.
Hey, nothing's going to stop you from going to the YouTube page of Garage Logic and subscribing for free. Nothing's going to stop you to go to the garagelogic.com
And signing up for the
Website.
town council ahead of our second annual meeting.
Yeah, that's it, Tatter. So you can learn more about it at garagelogic.com. Sign
It's
up.
going to be an actual council meeting.
It'll be, and you know what? It'll be informative. Also at garagelogic.com, we've got Garage Logic Garb, the 30 years of common sense, knack hardware and lounge, Garage Logic Boat Works. We got it all. Check it all out at garagelogic.cha.
I need questions from all of you that will